Sports Minutes with Ziaul Raushan.
Money FM 89.3. It's time for Sports Minutes with me, Ziaul Raushan. Now, fun fact, today's guest and I went to the same secondary school. She went on to win medals, break records and inspire a nation. I, on the other hand, stumbled into a studio and picked up a microphone. Life's funny like that, eh? Well, that athlete in question is none other than Theresa Goh, a champion swimmer who called time on her storied career in the pool back in 2019. But fast forward to 2025 and she's back representing the flag and competing. Not in a pool though, but in a shooting range, having made her international debut as a parachuter. So what sparked this remarkable comeback? Well, Theresa is on the line to tell us more. Theresa, welcome to Sports Minutes. How are you?
I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me.
Very excited to speak to you and very excited to have you on to talk about this remarkable comeback. And that's exactly where I want to start. 6 years you stopped competing and then you decided, hey, why not? I'll pick up a gun and give it a go. What made this possible?
I mean, a few things, right? I think I just had a lot of opportunities that were honestly the right timing, you know. If I'm not wrong, I came across this booth where you could try laser shooting. And that was at the Global Esports Convention, I think when they held it in Singapore. And, you know, I was part of the team. I always really liked just shooting. You know, I played like PUBG and Call of Duty and stuff like that. But it's never really holding like a gun. So, you know, I thought, oh, let me see how it feels. And I got to try laser shooting. And I thought it was pretty fun, you know. And then I think about a couple of months later, an opportunity came up. The person at laser shooting messaged me and asked if I wanted to come and try out this version of pentathlon where you just kind of run and shoot. So you run a distance and then you shoot at the table and then you go and run and shoot. So it was a relay kind of thing. So I asked another retired Paralympian, Aini, who's a powerlifter, you know, if she wanted to do this with me. I think we were in that phase of like, let's try everything. So we both did a relay. We did it with other like kind of able-bodied people. So everybody was running and I was wheeling. Running is obviously faster than my wheelchair. So the moment they ran, they were all in front of me. And we got to the shooting table and everybody was shooting. And even though I was last to reach, I was not the last to leave. I was kind of one of the earlier ones to leave. And to me, I'm like, oh, does that mean my aiming is not too bad? Like, and I, you know, I took it for like a little bit of an ego boost, and I thought let's see if that's something to explore there. I mean, to be real, it's so much easier to do something when you're good at it, right?
I agree.
So, then after that, there was yet another opportunity, or maybe the universe kind of nudging me even more. There was a sports tryout or Paralympic sport fiesta at OTH, our Tampines hub, and there was a shooting tryout also upstairs, and I met my coach, and she's like, I want to come and try, you know. So after that, I was like, okay, my interest is piqued enough to go and actually go to the range and try and shoot a gun, right? So I did that, you know, and I found that it was fun. It was challenging, you know, to kind of be in this new space and try something new, but also see the opportunity for growth and potential, I think was what really interested me. So then I went down once a week, got to the point where coach was saying, I think you should increase your sessions. So I did twice a week, which I'm doing now. It's been going well, you know, it's been going really fun. I try to take a bit of lessons from swimming. I think the important thing for me is really, really to have fun with it.
Theresa, I have to ask you this though. It seems like it was an incremental decision, right? Over time, you tried it out a few times. You got a bit of a confidence boost, a bit of an ego boost by your own admission. And then you felt like, okay, this is something I can do. Can you zoom into the moment where it dawned upon you that you're going to do this competitively? Because as recent as June is when you took part in that first international meet. I'm guessing there was a moment where it clicked.
I don't think it was like I don't think I realized it in one moment. I think because training is twice a week, right? And it's Tuesday and Thursdays after work. So it's 7:30 to 9:30 at the Yishun Safra. And after training, when I get home, it takes me about 1.5 hours, or if I take my time, it's about 2 hours. So by the time I get home, it's maybe 11:30 or 11 p.m. and it's late. But like, I don't mind it at all. I think for me, when the fact that I willingly go down to training and everything else really was just let's see, you know, I'm trying to take things as it comes, and I go, I guess, using a bit of a swimming, I go with the flow a bit, So I'm shooting. I'm asking coach like what to do today. How's my she'll advise me and guide me and stuff. So far, progress has been really good, and I think even for the Korean competition, it was mainly to get my international classification. So I mean, every international para athlete that wants to go eventually into like the Paralympics or world level competition, they have to get classified usually. So that was the main point. So I think when we went into the competition, coach was saying, okay, let's not set your expectations too unrealistic. It's your first international competition. Let's have fun with it. All I want is to get in the range of whatever I've been doing in the local competitions. For me, I'm also trying to balance that because I have a tendency to just like go into it, rush into it, right? And I'm trying not to do that because I don't want to burn out. I don't want to be overwhelmed with everything. I want to really take my time with it and kind of build a good foundation, which I believe I have in swimming, So I'll use an example of swimming where at the start, we had to do a lot of drills, and drills are so slow. They're so like yeah, and deliberate, right? And I think for me, it's usually easier to just like do like a bit of drills lah, then go into the main set, right? But for me, I also then understood and understand the importance of drills, understand the importance of foundation, understand without it there cannot be as much growth as if you really focus on your foundation at the base, right? So I try to remember that lah, and don't like skip steps, don't rush into it. I know I need to build a strong foundation. So yeah, that's my goal right now.
One important lesson I'm already gathering from you is don't skip the foundation, and I hope the listeners heed that, right? I have to ask you this. You talk about logistically having to travel 2 hours one way and then come back. A lot of commitment, right? Is the drive because as a former champion swimmer, there was a void to fill for you in terms of adrenaline? Because that rush, I'm guessing, is like nothing can compare.
It is very hard to emulate, I guess, same feel as competition. I've tried to find it, I guess, but really nothing compares. So yeah, I would say maybe, yes, there was a void to fill. And I mean, I'll be honest and say I'm not 100% sure if the void that I want to fill is sport, because maybe it's not, maybe it's something else. But right now it does feel like it is, and it does feel like I do want to explore this other whole journey, right? And I am the kind, I guess, to be committed when I say I am. I do hope that this is going to be a long-lasting journey. Sport is just enjoyable for me. I think I've always taken to sport, and I take quite easily, naturally to most sports. But it's the mastering of it that is challenging, and the part that I have to put in the work and the desire and the determination, discipline, all that, right? And that will be I would say my next challenge to be conscious in all that and to not just like be kind of blasé about it and I'm done with it,
And I think that's what makes your comeback so remarkable, because you're not doing it for fun almost. You're doing it and working towards, once again, being a champion in a different arena entirely. You've mentioned your coach a few times already. If I can just dig a little deeper on that front. The drive obviously comes from you, Theresa, to pick up a new sport and become the best version of yourself. But there's a network around you, a support structure around you. Maybe you want to talk to me about them in terms of how much they contribute to help you achieve what you want to achieve.
So much. I mean, it's the same in swimming. I think I've always felt like I've not, even though both are pretty solitary sports, they're like, it's just you, right? I think in the pool it's you in the water, in the range it's me and the gun and the target board, It's a solo sport, but I definitely have not felt alone or lonely, I think there's always been and still remains a really strong support system, which I would say is one of the most important things to success and to keep going lah. There were kind of two coaches at the start, and they were really helpful in making sure that I understand the basics and stuff like that. I didn't have equipment, so my coach currently lend me her, I haven't figured out lend or give lah, but she long-term loaned me this her gear, and she used to be a national shooter also. So there's kind of all these like stickers on her palette box that's from her previous games. I'm a sentimental person, so I feel sentimental on her behalf. and like, wow, this has like, such memories attached to it, right? And then Daniel, our first Paralympic shooter, he lent me his Paris gun, which to me I was like, what? Like, are you sure? And it's really things that I guess people don't have to do, but they do out of their generosity and kindness of themselves, right? I think I'm super grateful that, it's like being somebody that can make things easier for somebody else. It's something you can apply to not just this in life itself, where you see somebody is doing something, if you can make it easier, you try.
Lesson number 2, right? It doesn't cost you anything to be a good person at all. And I think that's so important because being a good person is free. Just spread kindness and kindness will come back to you. That's something I want to live by as well. Theresa, let me ask you this. You decided to come back to competitive sport, right? There are many layers to it. The emotional aspect, the mental aspect, and the physical aspect. Which do you think is the hardest for you to overcome in terms of that 6-year void?
I think probably going to say the emotional aspect. Probably the mental aspect. There's a base there. There's a foundation there already. Physically also, I definitely am not at the same physical standard as I was 6 years ago. Mentally, I honestly not sure. But emotionally, I think there's a lot of, I guess, feelings that were involved in swimming and aspects of the successes and the failures, right? I had a lot of emotions attached to that. And I imagine that's going to be the same for shooting, I'm almost, in a sense, anticipating my next success and failure. Because I know it's not going to be a straight line. It's not going to be always a good time. It's not always going to be a great shoot. And it comes with the sport. It comes with every sport, and it comes with being an athlete. So I almost anticipate my failure or anticipate my not so good moments, but also knowing that my not so good moments will contribute to my high points. Like, okay, I know that happened. I know it will happen. Just preparing myself mentally for that, because it's really the emotional aspect of sport that can take a toll, because nobody likes to lose.
Of course.
And I guess I would say I'm lucky that I had a whole other life before this in another sport. Being able to know, okay, really, if I have a bad meet, it's not the end of the world. It will be a stepping stone for my next good meet. And I also try and kind of give back, and I talk to my younger teammates and try and help them a bit, use my experiences and explain to them that really, like, a bad shot is just a bad shot. You still have many more years and many more good shots ahead of you to try again, Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
No, I love that. Lesson number 3 is you learn more from the hard days than the better days. I live by that. And with you, right, it's like you're going in for internship but with experience, because you know now how to deal with the setback. Anyway, coming back to the shooting, you talked about laying the foundation, finding your feet in terms of being confident, and then representing Team Singapore, which you already have done. If you can look ahead, what's the sort of targets you've set for yourself, mid-term as well as long-term?
I think mid-term, really, if I do get selected, I guess, for the ASEAN Para Games, I'm now aiming, I guess, for personal best scores. I have a lot to work on in technique and just being able to shoot a bit more, because right now I'm only doing twice a week, which I definitely don't think is enough, So for me, yeah, personal best shots, scores for now, improving my technique, improving my feel of the whole meet, right? Long-term, I guess, I think I mentioned in Straits Times, I do have a dream, if I can, I guess, like I said, kind of speak it into the universe a little bit. I do want to go to the Paralympic Games again as a shooter. I think there's nothing wrong with dreams, You dream big, you have a lot further to kind of work towards, But I will honestly say I just want to do the best I can. I really am just trying to push my limits and see where my limits lie, if I can find out in the next however many years. Yeah.
I love that, Theresa. Earlier you used the swimming pun saying go with the flow, right? I'm going to give you one swimming pun in return saying lap by lap you're going to achieve those dreams eventually. I want to ask you something that's slightly away from sport, but very much in terms of your story, Theresa. Do you realize how much of a inspiration you are to people when you do these things? As in, has there been feedback that's come back to you in terms of, oh my God, Theresa, you have inspired me to push myself more, because if Theresa can, so can I?
Not really. I think, I mean, maybe it's not at the forefront of my mind. Like, I don't think so. I think a lot of times I do this hoping that my story resonates, or if anything, I feel like there's so many stories out there that can inspire people, right? And I think we all take lessons from different people, I take my inspiration from people, the news, or people I meet, and I hope maybe in some way people can do the same with what I share. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't recall or say that.
I'm guessing after they listen to this, they just might, because I started this interview introducing you as my secondary school mate, I'm going to rewind the clocks and bring you back there. What do you think secondary school Theresa would say to 38-year-old Theresa now? Sorry to give away your age, but it's public knowledge anyway.
It is. Wow, I think secondary school me was such a different person. The years of swimming definitely changed me for the better. I think I have always wanted to just be a better version of myself. So there's always something for me to work on, always something for me to be better in. For one thing, my confidence is definitely a lot better than 12-year-old me. The way I view life is not so stuck on a certain event or a certain incident. It's a lot of things I feel like are not so serious in a sense. Like I think it's like a balance, right? Things are serious, things matter, but they also don't in the end. Like I feel like there's such a contradiction there, but a balance that has to be made by yourself. And to me, everything has a seriousness to it, but everything really matters until it doesn't. And so I think that's why I've learned, I guess, for all these years. And I guess 12-year-old me will be looking at 38-year-old me and like, why? Like,
The actual question that I want to end this interview on is why not? Because you've proved that there is no limitations to what you can achieve in life, be it physical or mental. You just need the drive to overcome it. Theresa, thank you for sharing your inspiring story. I think you've been an inspiration to me, and I'm guessing everyone who stuck around to listen to this has been inspired as well. Thank you very much, and all the best for this second lease of life that you're pushing for.
thank you so much.
Sports Minutes on Money FM 89.3.